Hi, my name is John Crowell, and I would like to welcome you to my just-in-time training video on creating self-grading quizzes with Google Forms. Google Forms has added a new feature that allows quizzes to be created, which allows for them to be graded and for students to receive immediate feedback. The objectives that I would like to cover in this video include creating a new quiz under Google Forms, to create questions with answer keys, and to show quizzes or to share quizzes with students so that they have access to the quiz. At this time, I would like to switch over to the browser, Firefox browser, and I would like to go to drive.google.com. If you have a Gmail account set up, or if you use Google for Education, you automatically have a drive where you can store forms and documents. To find forms, you would go to your New, you would go to More, and that's where you see Google Forms. Go ahead and click on it at this time, and you should have a blank form that comes up. Now, since this is a quiz, we're going to go ahead and go to our icon that says Settings. You notice here that there's a tab that says Quizzes. We're going to make this a quiz, and we have different choices here. Now, these choices deal with what the students will get after they complete their quizzes. We can release a grade immediately after submission, and that way they have immediate feedback. You can also pick on what you would like for them to see. I don't usually include answers whenever they turn it in for the first time because I have students who need additional time and they have to be able to go back if they run out of time during the class period to take this quiz. I also will go to General. I like to collect email addresses. And because I give my quizzes in the same domain that my students are in, I usually restrict it just to those students. If you have students who are outside of your domain, then you would also take that off. Now, my students, I do have some students who have additional time, so I do put on here that they can edit after they submit so that they can go back and finish their quizzes at a later time. When you're finished with your settings, you have to select Save, and now you're back to your Google form. At this time, you can go ahead and name your quiz. This is a sample one for us. And so this is a just-in-time training quiz. This is a sample for us. So I'm going to go ahead and under the description, put that in. And you can put in whatever description that you would want for your quiz. And if you click up here, it will automatically transfer the name from here to there so that when you are looking into your drive, you'll have the quiz or test name there. Now you can change your appearance. Over here is your color palette. You can either supply an image or you can use a pre-made theme, which I usually use, and I just usually try to make something that's nice for the student's eyes. First question is already set up for you. You can click on this, and I usually like to have the student's name, so I'll click on here, and you have to select the whole untitled question so that you can erase it. And I put in write down your name, and I have students with this first name that are pretty common through my classes, so I always tell them first and last. And this is a short answer. It automatically could tell that that's the type of answer that I was looking for, so it made the switch for me. If it's a different type, if you want more, you see here they have paragraph answers, multiple choice, check boxes, or drop downs. We'll go ahead and leave it at short answer. And we'll make this a required question. That means the students have to answer this question before they turn it in. Now, we want our next question, so we go over here to the toolbar and we'll hit Add Question. Now, most teachers already have test or quizzes saved, and this is nice for Google Form to be able to go ahead and select your old quiz or test. I'm going to open up a sample one here, and you can go ahead and convert things over into this Google form. You'll see here my first questions is examples of matter include, and it's a multiple choice type question. So I can type that in, examples of matter include, and I can go over here. Now, for it to be self-correcting, there's only 3 types of quiz questions that can be self-correcting. It is multiple choice, check boxes, and drop down. Check boxes are those types of questions where you have more than one answer, and drop downs are ones that I use for either word banks or for vocabulary words. Let's make this a multiple choice. And our options, which is what your answer selections, again, you got to make sure you delete that option that's there. First one was water. And if I go back, this is what makes it nice. I can copy and paste these other answers down to save time. If I hit return, it gives us next option, but if I paste it on there, they automatically will give you those other choices. Now, what I like to do, you don't have to do this now, you can do it after you set up your quiz, but I always do it right after I put down a question. I set my answer key. Now for this question, the correct answer is all the above. Notice that there's a green check mark next to this now. I also can set my points so that it automatically will keep track of your points for your quiz. And I can make that set up so that it's 1 point for this question. When I'm happy with this, I usually go back to edit question, and that way you can see that everything is finished for this question. Let's do one more sample. We'll do a drop-down sample. We'll go ahead and hit add question. And remember that copy and paste trick that I showed you earlier. Well, you can do that all the way through for the question if you have a test that's already created, and to save time you can do the same type of item. Go ahead and copy it and paste, and we're going to make this one a drop down. This one we'll use for a word bank, and I can go back to my sample test and I can go ahead and copy my word bank. Go to my option 1, delete where it says option 1, and then go ahead and paste my words that I want to use for my word bank. Let's say that I want to put a picture here for a clue for the students to use. If I go back to the question, notice that the picture icon will pop up. You select that, and you have a choice of the different pictures that you want to use. You can either upload a picture that's on your computer, you can use your camera, use something off of Google Drive, you can search right off of this, or you can go ahead and use by URL if you know the URL that you're using. For today, I'm going to go ahead and use by URL, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Google and do a search, and I'm going to look for deer. This is the sample that we use quite a bit in our class when we talked about this question. I went ahead and go to the view image, and notice that you have up here now the URL for this picture. I'll go ahead and copy it, go back to my quiz, paste the URL, we'll click the select, and into my question now I do have this picture. Now again, I like to go ahead and do my answer key while I'm doing the question. The question was the amount of species living in an area, and I gave the sample of deer, and so that would be a population. So with the answer key on, I would go ahead and choose population. I want to make this question worth 1 point. Again, so I'll go over here, create that as into 1 point. And now my question is complete. If you would like to see what the students see whenever they take the test, up here you have an eye icon, which is preview. You click on that, and this will show you what the students see when they're taking your test. Notice you have your multiple choice answers there with the choices. They have to put their names here, and then they also have what's called a drop down. Here is your question, and then they have to choose from that drop down box their correct answer. Now, what makes Google Forms so nice? especially for the teacher side, is once they submit, they have immediate feedback on what questions that they have right or wrong. You as a teacher, I'm going to go ahead and show you a sample here of a quiz that I gave her recently. You are given a lot of information that is good for you and for your classroom. You have a summary that pops up and it shows you the range of scores, and it also shows you who has already taken the question or taken the test. You see which questions are the ones that people miss quite a bit. I have the names here. That's easier for me to look at instead of the email addresses on who actually took the quiz or not. And it also will break down the questions and show you how many people were right and how many were wrong with each of the questions that you were given. When you are finished with all this information, you can go ahead and send this now to your students. To send this to your students, you go up here to send, and you can either send it by email or you can send the link. I usually use the link. You can shorten the URL to make it a little bit shorter, and then you can copy and paste this URL and put it into your LMS or Google Classroom. I use Google Classroom. It works really, really well with Google Forms, and this is the link that I will provide. This is the end of our training today, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to send me an email, or if you are in district, you can go ahead and reach me at my phone extension, which is listed on this slide. Thank you once again.